welcome back to my channel. I'm Trudy, and if you're new, welcome. So I'm coming to you today from school. I'm actually in my office. I don't know if you can see the big English sign behind me, and I have a white guy beside me. Probably wondering who's this guy in the video. Well, this is my colleague Mike. Mike, say hi to the peoples.
Hi, I'm Mike and I'm white.
Oh shit. Yeah, so this is Mike, right? Mike is from Canada. Mike is actually my colleague, and he recently returned to China after being stuck in Canada for what, 10 months?
It was 10 months,
Yeah, 10 months. So this video is basically to discuss the quarantine measures implemented for persons who are returning to China. So let's go, let's get into this video.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm better.
You're better. How was it being stuck in Canada for like 10 months?
It sucked. It sucked quite a bit. I was living with my two elderly parents, right? So I can't put them at risk. So by extension, I'm basically pretending to be a 78-year-old.
Yeah.
I couldn't really go out. I couldn't do anything that, anything that could possibly risk me getting infected.
Yeah.
So I basically I sat in my parents' basement for 10 months. And
so you stayed in the basement for 10 months. You never came out of your basement? You interacted with them at least within that 10 months, right? What would you do? Like when you went out, when you came back, you kind of self-quarantined for a bit?
Well, no. Well, there's no self-quarantine.
Yeah.
I mean, the basement was kind of my area, so I don't know. We would congregate, for dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're constantly interacting, we're gonna drive each other insane. We would congregate for dinner, and then we would go upstairs. We'd play this really stupid golf game, and that was really my life. It was just I tried to get some exercise.
Yeah.
I tried to read, I didn't,
I feel you on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you get to re-enter China? What were the requirements that you had to meet?
Well, it was actually kind of interesting. Originally, I was supposed to reapply for a new work visa, which I don't know why. I already had one.
You had to get a work visa, although you had your residence permit?
That originally was going to be the case.
Yeah.
And it was this really complicated application process. If they re-implement that, I'm sorry for anyone who has to do that. But then at a certain point, China opened their borders to a bunch of different countries, including Canada.
Right.
And all it was I had I needed a residence permit and a work visa.
But you already had all of those because you were just visiting for the winter break, so you would have already had those things, right?
Right, so I was fortunate, and then the other thing they needed was a negative test result issued within 3 days of your flight. Important test results. So I originally thought it was you needed to take the test and get the result within 3 days, which Canada, those tests were super backlogged. So it was just the result.
Yeah.
So I had to basically take 4 tests in 4 consecutive days to make sure my result ends up in the right time frame.
Wow. So that's seriously a hassle though. So the test that you had to do, was it just the acid nucleic test, or you had to do both acid and serum? It was just the acid test, the one that they stick the thing up your nose. Yeah, the nucleic acid test. So did you need a PU invitation letter to come back?
That's what I thought originally.
Oh.
So that was part of that really complicated application process that had crazy questions like what year my parents retired.
What years? What year your parents retired?
All of the information of every job I've ever held, including high school jobs.
For the PU?
Yeah.
But you were already a teacher here. You just left for winter vacation. That's ridiculous.
Makes no sense.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, so after you got all of that and it was time to re-enter China, how you felt after being in Canada for 10 months?
Well, when I re-entered China, I just immediately entered quarantine, so it didn't really feel like I was in China.
Okay, so take us on the journey from Canada to China. What was different? What's about the flight that was different that wasn't implemented prior to the pandemic?
Yeah, well, basically, the flight was really bizarre. I took a flight from one Canadian city to another, so that was relatively normal. I just had to wear a mask. Yeah. The one returning to China, it was like I was in a sci-fi movie. Like it wasn't just a pandemic. People were dressed like, they had survived a nuclear blast or something.
So they were like suited and they had on hazmat suits.
Yeah, the full thing. And so then I got brought into this special room in the airport. It was like this waiting room, and there was like a lineup. Then a bus took us straight to the hotel. Yeah. It was just kind of.
So you had no interaction with anyone in the airport once it is that you entered in China.
Well, there was a Canadian guy that I met on the flight, so we were just both kind of back.
No, apart from the persons that were on the flight, like, did you interact with anyone outside of the persons that were on the flight once it is that you entered in China? So what, they just came and like scooped you up and be like, get in this bus, you all are hostages, kind of like that?
Yeah, I thought I was going to get probed or something. Yeah. It was really, it was a really bizarre kind of experience. So... Yeah, and then they just brought us into that special kind of waiting room that was also like really, like they had all this kind of like tape and like foam on the walls and stuff like that. It was really weird. Yeah. And then that was sort of.
So you guys were like all bacteria walking around, so they just kind of had to mask the place so that you guys don't contaminate the place, right? Yeah. You guys were contaminants.
We were the infected.
Yeah, you were contaminants.
So and then they just loaded us onto a bus to the hotel, and then it was just check-in time, and they took our passports at the hotel, and then. I don't know, in case we tried to escape out the window or something, which was tempting. And
how many persons were on the flight?
Oh, I don't know.
It was a full flight?
Yeah, it was a full flight. Look, me and one other Canadian guy were the only white dudes on the flight. It was all Chinese people.
Yeah. So when they took you to the hotel now, right? So you had to stay in that one room for 14 days. You couldn't interact with anyone. You couldn't get out the room.
No. Wow. No one came in to clean. Yeah. And I was given 2 towels at the beginning. Yeah. And then every time I would request towels, they give me like hand, face towels. I'm like, great, I'll take a bunch of them and I'll sew them together. I'll make a towel. So
tell me, like, what was it like being locked up in a room for 14 days, no interaction with anyone? Like, weren't you going insane? How did you occupy your time? Like, what did you do? Like, for me personally, I'm a loner, really. So I think I can do 14 days locked in a room. I mean, after a while, I think I'd be, it would start driving me crazy. But I don't think it would be so hard for me. I think I could cope with 14 days. But what did you do to occupy your time?
There wasn't really much to do. Like, the internet was not very good. Yeah. The interesting thing is that when I was in the quarantine, that was during the American election. So that entire election week, it was me in the quarantine room, basically sitting there in my underwear, like trying to fiddle with the internet to get these election results because I was pretty invested in it. That was like a week. That was the second week. The first week, God knows, I slept. Yeah. You slept? You read some books? No. I gave up on that after the quarantine.
So you only sleep?
I would sleep. I would try to go on the internet a little bit. I would chat with friends at home, but even though the time zone's really weird. And that was really about it.
Okay, so what protocols they implemented? Like, they had routine checks, right? So what would they do each morning?
Well, each morning we would get our breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Did you like the food?
I hated it. It was terrible.
What did you get? Like, what kind of food? Do you have pictures that I can insert in my video to show the people?
I have a few of them. I'll tell you, breakfast was the real noodle scratcher. Yeah. We would get 1 hard-boiled egg. Mm-hmm. And when I mean hard-boiled, it's like the yolk is like chalk.
Oh wow.
Hard with a capital H-A-R-D.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like that.
So that's the definition of hard.
Yeah, we had these kind of like pastry things that were okay.
Yeah.
Then we had porridge that was like liquidy, bland porridge, and milk that was like above room temperature. Like it was like hot milk.
Yeah.
Because it was pressed up against the porridge, so I'd wait for that to get to room temperature, and I would drink it.
Yeah.
And then that, and we get a piece of fruit. So that was the highlight of my breakfast, the piece of fruit. And then the dinners and lunches, they were like kind of like TV dinner style, with these like sections that had different dishes.
Yeah.
And not a word of a lie. I mean, half the time I couldn't even identify what I was eating.
And you've been in China for a minute, so for you to be unable to identify what you're eating, it must have been pretty bad.
Yeah, there was one dish. It was like gravy, some mystery vegetable, and what I thought was like beef because it had taken the color of the gravy. No, it was just bones. It was just bones. Mystery vegetable and gravy. So
wait, where in China were you in quarantine?
It's famous for its food, and
they have good food there. That's what you've been told.
I've been told that.
It's Chongqing, right?
It's Chongqing, and I think Chengdu is also like famous for like really spicy hot pot.
Yeah, and you never got any of those.
I can tell you that much. I didn't get any hot pot. The second day.
Yeah.
I got a phone call. The first day I'm like, oh man, this is 14 days of this food. I got a phone call and they said, look, we want to know, do you want Western food or you want Chinese food?
Wait, on the last day?
No, second day.
Oh, second day. So what did you say? Western?
So I said, absolutely Western food. They go, just so you know, it's 30 kwai more. And I said, oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. They served me exactly the same food. And
wow.
There's no Western food.
So you had to like, who paid for your quarantine? You did, right?
Me.
Out of pocket. Yeah.
But my company is going to compensate a lot of the quarantine money.
Oh, so the company's compensating. Oh, that's good. You get some compensation. That's good. Okay.
I mean, honestly, it was a 14-day stay at a hotel and 3 meals a day. All told, it was like 5,500 kwai. So as a hotel stay, that is cheap.
Yeah.
It was worth probably about 5,500 kwai.
That's very cheap. Yeah, that's for 14 days. That's quite reasonable. So, what's about the routine checks? They never had any routine. Like, would they come and test your temperature daily? What kind of routine checks you had?
Some lady would bang on my door once a day, and then she would come. The first day was really startling because they had like a temperature check gun, but she had it already pointed towards my head.
Make it seem as if like it's just one of those handheld thermometers, like the gun. But but you make it seem as if it was loaded with some bullets or some vaccine or something. And she's just there to spray you with it.
Well, I opened the door and there's immediately something shaped like a gun pointed at my head. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
So she just banged you.
Yeah. Oh, they wouldn't even wait. They'd be like,
yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, I got to put some pants on because I'm in my underwear. I'd be like, oh, okay, dang xia. And they would just even harder, like this lady. So then, I'd open the door up and she'd have the thing pointed already at me.
Yeah. Oh.
And they would go beep, and then she'd go, okay, and then she'd walk away.
Yeah. Well, that's not that bad. I mean, some persons actually, they use the regular thermometers to test their temperature. Actually, they would give them the thermometer to test it.
They gave us the thermometer.
You had that too? So what you had to do?
They did this weird thing. They told me to take the thermometer. They mimed this for me and put it under your armpit. And then I had a thermometer that didn't work. So the first 3 days, I just made up a temperature. I'm like, I'm at 36.
What?
Because you had to message someone on WeChat. They said, okay, I'm 36 degrees today because they're going to come test me anyways. And then after that, I gave up and they didn't care. So if they give you
but they're coming to test you either way. So
So if they give you a thermometer and they say put in your armpit or whatever, do it for like 2 days and then just toss away the thermometer. No one cares.
Okay, so what about like? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I just had a brain fart.
That's okay.
I don't remember. Okay, so the last day, right? The last day before you were released, right? Before you were released, you went to the hospital. Before the last day, at any point during your stay, did they take you to the hospital for checks?
They didn't take us to the hospital for checks, but they did take some of my blood.
Oh, okay.
That's probably
for the serum test.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't really question it, and then.
Blood is being pulled from you, and you don't question why are you taking my blood? Like, weren't you curious to know why? No. Or you're like, whatever, you can do whatever you want with me, right?
I was on like day 10 and I was already exhausted with this crap. All right, whatever, take my blood. Yeah. And also my Chinese is not good enough to ask a lady, why are you taking my blood?
You have a translator. Psh, that's no excuse. You have a translator on your phone. You could have asked like, hey, why are you taking my blood? Like, yeah.
Well, I don't think she's taking it to paint pictures with. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure that it's something medical.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Yeah, so, it was, I got a test, like the swab test. I mean, they jam it up your nose like they're trying to pick at your brain with it. And then I got that on the first day when I arrived. I got that one at the airport. Yeah. And then I got another one a couple of nights before I had to leave. So then they had both those test results. They sent me a PDF of those.
Okay.
So that was really the extent of it. There was the two tests and the blood sample.
Oh, and then when you're leaving, you had to get like a release certificate, right? To say that you went to the hospital for that?
No, they just issued it to me.
They just issued you?
Yeah, it's just this thing in Chinese, and they gave me instructions to quarantine for 7 days, and no one made me quarantine in Shenzhen.
Oh, wait, you had to, after you left Chengdu, you had to quarantine for 7 days?
I thought I had to. It said so on my release form, and then I actually went to the airport and like asked someone. They're like, no, you don't need to do that.
So who took you to the airport? They took you to the airport?
They had a free bus shuttle to the airport.
So they released you, then gave you your certificate, you go to the airport, and then what's next? Then you was it a hassle at the airport after?
No.
You had to show them anything?
No, not at all. Actually, the airport. I mean, like I had a meal and I almost ate my hand after like all of those all those terrible meals.
Yeah.
But the entire annoying process of like going through immigration, all that stuff, that was all done. That was all done when I arrived to.
When you're traveling, I mean, what I realized in China is that if you have an international flight and you're connecting in China, like the first airport that you enter and they do all the checks, like when you're traveling domestically, then they don't do any other checks at immigration.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not annoying at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I got to Shenzhen, I just collected my baggage and headed for the exit, which was nice.
Yeah. How it felt when you returned to Shenzhen? After 10 long months, how did it feel to like return to school and interact with the students? Like they were like, "Hail Mike! Hail Mike!" I wasn't at school that day because I was sick, so I never saw what happened.
Well, hey, I mean, they were, listen, that honeymoon period, it lasted for exactly a week because they were a pain in the ass today. But for the first day it was great. I mean, returning to school was great. The kids were super excited, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Returning to my apartment was awful because
I can imagine after 10 months.
It was disgusting. The apartment, nothing worked. I had like my phone card didn't work, my internet didn't work. Yeah. I had a toilet that didn't work. The water wasn't on. I mean, you name it. So you remember, I took like a full week, and that's why. So I mean, if you've been out a long time, expect nothing to work, and you're gonna have a lot of stuff to sort out.
Well, maybe for your apartment, maybe others didn't experience the same thing. Maybe it's just your apartment. Yeah.
I cleaned my apartment. I fully cleaned it.
Sure. I would not know. I wouldn't know if you clean your apartment. Well, I think I basically asked you all the questions that anyone that's currently traveling to China would need to know. Currently, like the policies, they change quite frequently.
Yes.
So, like before, you had to have the serum test, you had to have just the acid nucleic test 3 days prior to your your trip, right? Yeah. But now, from a lot of countries, they've actually cut it from 72 hours to 48 hours because even persons that are traveling from Jamaica now to China, they have 48 hours to present the test, and that's kind of ridiculous. Because like for you to like board the flight and you still within that 48 hours period, that's crazy. That's kind of like hard to accomplish. Not only that too, but like. The only routes that persons can actually travel to right now is like Germany, Canada is closing now, so
oh yeah, Canada's like a lot of places are shutting down.
Yeah, so a lot of places are shut down, so it's kind of really hard to re-enter if you're outside China right now. I'm thinking if you're traveling from Jamaica, you can travel through Mexico, Panama, and Germany. So you have to of course it's connecting flight because there are no straight direct flights from Jamaica to China. So I think you'd have to go to Panama, then Mexico, then Germany, then to China, something like that. You can travel through the US because you can travel through the US, or can you not? You can't. I don't remember. Sure. I know that if you're leaving China currently, you cannot travel through the US. Once you've been in China for 14 days, you can't travel through the US. Yeah, they have that on their government website. So re-entering is a hassle.
The one piece of advice I would give anyone is, if you can, hire a good travel agent. Yeah. Because a lot of that stuff with the testing and the organizing flights, I bought a ticket that was through Taipei, and then I found out at the last minute that Taipei has travel restrictions. I would have been rejected at the airport. So maybe if you can, get a good travel agent, and they can actually find you a reduced price. I saved 700 Canadian on my flight.
Well, that's kind of crazy though for you to be for a country to have restriction, but yet still they're connecting flights through the country. That just doesn't add up. Why would you have a connecting flights when you know that there are certain travel restrictions? But I guess the onus is on you. The onus is on you as the traveler to ensure that your ass is good wherever you're traveling. So yeah.
Yeah, but the travel agent and all the testing and stuff, the travel agent might be able to sort some of that stuff out, because that's what eventually got me to China, was hiring that travel agent.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I don't think that there's anything that we're leaving out, right? I think that's all the important questions.
It's a pain in the ass, but it's worth it. This is the closest thing to normalcy you're going to get.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think the protocols that they have implemented here, it really has contained the virus. Yeah. I think it's one of the best protocols implemented from I've been following up this pandemic thing, which I don't do much because I'm kind of over it. It has been 11 months.
We're all over
and it started here. So you left me here in China on January 13th. So I started it got crazy here in early January, right? So you were there in Canada having a ball. So I've been literally living this for 11 months.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can go live in my parents' basement for 8 months.
No, I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, this is as normal as I think life gets right now here in China. Yeah, everything is open. The only thing, the most restriction is really entering the country, leaving and re-entering the country. But everything else is quite normal. Yeah, their parties, everything is normal, really. Yeah. Except the mask wearing.
Well, it's more normal than it is anywhere else. So.
Yeah, that's true, because we don't have to wear it at school.
No.
And we just need to wear it in crowded places. And I mean, if you're at a party, once they take your temperature and they think you're okay, then you don't need to wear it. This is really as normal gets right now.
I agree. Yeah.
So tell them to subscribe to my channel if they haven't.
Subscribe to her channel if you haven't.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now.
Wow. So this is pretty much it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you. Goodbye. Wait. Mike, is there anything that you want to say before we depart?
All right. Well, subscribe to her. I'm going to say this in a very Canadian way. Subscribe to her channel,
okay. So Canadian. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. I hope this was very helpful. Goodbye.
Bye. I won't see you again, but bye.
You never know.
Yeah. No worries. I'll do these videos.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.